The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, new outside bar, now open on match days.
Chance here, a great save by Turner from McClare. Mike Tony, a terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brexman against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me on the line, first of all, we've got James. Hello there, James Oldbean.
Hello. I've got to admit, I'm a little moist this evening. It is a tad clammy in the Marriott household. It is. What is it that we say? It's a bit close. That's the phrase, isn't it? It's a bit close tonight.
You're the one that's supposed to raise the profile of the podcast. We leave all the smut to Victoria. That's why she's here.
Honestly, I've not even done anything yet.
She's all right. I'm the one that's dripping tonight.
Victoria, my darling, how the devil are you?
Good evening, my lord. I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
That's what James should have done.
See, exactly.
It's not difficult. We've got Rhys Davies back off his jollies. Hi there, Rich Oldbean.
Hello there, my lord. It's very good to be back, and I am also quite moist. Betty Swallocks, I think, is the term.
Are you brown from your holidays and moist?
I have a skeggy tan and moist, yes.
And you lucky mother chuffers out there, we've also got an incredibly special guest on this evening as well. Another one, that's 2 in 2 weeks. Mr. Chris Holt of Sheffield Star fame. Chris, how the devil are you?
I am great. Thanks for the big build-up there.
I'm good at that. I'm really, really good at that, and you can pay me later. But no, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's a pleasure. An actual professional again on the podcast. Crikey, this is getting a bit weird now.
Yeah, but so is James, and look where that just went.
I'm a professional of many things, but this certainly isn't one of them.
Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on. We've got quite a bit to go this evening. First things first, the rather disappointingness that was the Leeds match. I mean, to be fair, it started off a bit Leeds, and then, I mean, we really should have had some chances and started a little bit better with this one. We first had some cracking chances, didn't he, Jay?
Well, look, I mean, I don't want to sound dramatic about it, but that's it. It's all over. The dream is shattered. We lost.
At least you're not sounding dramatic.
We lost with blue and white nets. I can't go on.
Oh,
Everything is ruined. It's over. My theory is abandoned. Look, seriously, do you know what it reminded me of? Cast your mind back, if you can, to the Reading game towards the start of last season, which finished in a 1-1 draw. But it was a fairly poor performance. But we actually created quite a lot of chances. Things just hadn't settled into their rhythm for us yet. At the time, it felt like the worst performance ever. And that's kind of how I feel about Saturday, because it was the same as that. On another day, we'd have won that game like 6-2 or something. Fessy, to be fair, he missed a sitter. He had one cleared off the line. Abdi hit the bar. He missed a relatively easy header as well. Hooper should have scored in the second half. And we had another couple of pretty decent opportunities as well. That's not to say that there weren't negatives from the game, because there were, and I don't think the shape is right at the moment. And I think we looked lightweight in midfield, particularly when Bannon's having an off day, which he was on Saturday. We really suffer. I'm beginning to feel like we really miss Hutch in that centre mid defensive position, and I wonder whether or not we're going to see Dave Jones coming in to kind of bridge that gap a little bit, because that's where it kind of cut us open against Leeds. And then there was the fullback situation as well, because Jack Hunt had a pretty poor game. Poodle had probably the worst game that he's had in a Wednesday shirt. But then again, like we say, the shape wasn't right, and there wasn't that help from midfield. There wasn't that defensive midfielder that can drop back to form a back three like Hutch did last season. And we talked about it so much last season about how that shape worked. We didn't have that on Saturday, and that means when the fullbacks pushed forward, they were caught out, they were exposed, and it all kind of went a bit wrong.
I think we did try to have that, because I think Bannon did try to drop back, but he almost went too far the other way. And for a lot of the time in the first half, we completely lost him in the back somewhere. I had no idea where he'd gone. But obviously that was something that Carlos thought, we do need that sort of player, like you've just said, James. But Bannon's not the person.
No, he's not. He's definitely not. And I think he tries to play that position, but he is a player that naturally wants to get forward. Hutch was a player that naturally wants to stay back. If he crosses the halfway line with the ball, he starts panicking because he's a defensive-minded player, and Bannon's not. And you can tell him he's playing that position, and you can tell him what to do all you want. But if he sees some space in front of him, he's going to run into it, isn't he? Because he's that kind of player. We really need that kind of almost that third central defender that can form a back three when necessary, that can link the play from defence to attack in the way that Hutch did so well.
I'll say on Fudge's behalf, we need the shit kicker in the middle, don't we? We need someone that's going to boss the midfield.
I think James is spot on right with it with most of what he said there. I mean, I try, and when I see the games now, always trying to pull a positive from it, and it was very frustrating to watch. But the positive for me was that in the past, that's just how it would have been. But we all know we can play better than that. And that's the positive for me, that we have got something in reserve that you can pull through, and whether change it a little bit. We're working around with Dave Jones. I think is the man, or David Jones is the man to drop in. I think where Bannon is, and put out Bannon and Abdi at the side of each other, in my opinion. And then you've got when the fullbacks do bomb forward, whoever they might be, you've then got the security of that three man, like James said, those three centre half.
I think. What you're talking about there in terms of positives, I think there's loads of positives. All right, so let's do the negatives first. So we've scored 2 goals this season, and you look at, Burton have scored 9, Wigan and Barnsley have scored 8. We're way behind that, but we've had 48 shots. At the moment, it's just not happening. The goals will come, and if we look back at this stage of last season, we were in a similar position, whereby we had, I think we've got now the second highest average possession rate in the league behind Reading. So we've got the possession, we've got the shots. At the moment, it's just not happening. But if we weren't getting possession, if we weren't having the shots, we'd have a hell of a lot more to worry about. And again, if you look back to last season, Burnley and Middlesbrough, they were the 2 teams that went up automatically. They both had slow starts, and it happens. It's nothing to get ourselves in too much of a tiz about at the moment. I think if we don't get a result at Brentford, then it starts to look a little bit different, and people will rightly start to worry a bit. And maybe if that's the case, the international break comes at the right time for us. But there's decisions that have got to be made, because at the moment it feels like we're trying to play everyone in the same team, and it means players are playing out of position and it doesn't work. And I think we've got to face the fact that we've got more players than we can actually fit in a starting 11, and someone is going to have to miss out. And Carlos has got to make that decision. And I'm sure we'll debate between ourselves this evening as to who it should be that drops out. But everyone said it. Bannon needs to play in position. Abdi needs to play in position. Fessy plays better on the left. That's where he played so well last season. We've got to find a way of getting a team where players are playing in their natural position, and that's going to give us a much better chance of winning games.
So basically what we're saying is, and well, to sort of narrow that down, is it Carlos getting this complete and utterly chuffing wrong? Which is really unusual and very hard to say.
Ooh, that's a bit controversial.
He doesn't know his team, does he?
No, his best 11, yeah. He needs
absolutely.
to find his best 11. And
is it his best 11 needs to find, or is it just 11 players that he can play in particular positions? Because Abdi looks like a fish out of water at the moment, doesn't he? He just looks all wrong playing where he's playing. Obviously, last year Bannon had that role out left, didn't he? And it was sort of coming inside. But again, we had Hutch to it's just a really strange thing at the moment. I don't think particularly buying new players is what's going to sort out this problem. Otherwise, we're just going to end up with lots and lots more players playing out of position, unless we buy the right ones.
I think we probably do still need a player or two through the door, and I think that's just to give us different options rather than saying that the players that we've got at the moment aren't good enough, because they are good enough. They got us to the playoff final last season, or the majority of this squad got us to the playoff final last season. The players that we've added, we all know that they're good players. Abdi was absolutely adored by Watford. Now, we've not really seen that magic yet, other than perhaps in one of the pre-season games. But he's not really had chance to play in the position where he plays his best, and that's where the pressure comes on Carlos. And fair enough, he tried it a certain way against Leeds. I think Carlos's mistake now will be if he tries to persevere with that, rather than putting his hands up and saying, all right, I tried that, it didn't work, I'm going to try something else. And people calling for Carlos's head at this stage of the season is ridiculous, and I've seen a few people on Twitter saying that. This is a guy that he's earned our respect, he's earned our trust. He did get it right last season. We didn't quite get over the lines, but we were 20 minutes away from the Premier League last season. So we've got to give him the time to work out exactly what that starting 11 should be. how that starting 11 is going to play. And when he gets that right, we will win games. You know, we will score goals for fun, and we will win games.
Now, it's all well and good, us wabbling on about all this. Now, of course, again, we've got a professional. Chris, please don't be afraid to just tell us to shut up. And,
No, I've just been taking it all in there. I think the point that was made there, Carlos knows his best 11 players, and at the minute it's as if he's trying to shoehorn those 11 players into the team. He's got a big decision to make in midfielder. I think the midfield was what disappointed me most. Aside from the fullbacks was just a strange anomaly. I think they just both had an absolute nightmare, and it's something that we weren't expecting. But the midfield was just overrun and overpowered, and it brought to light what they're missing, really. And I thought that the point was made earlier. For games like this, they're really lacking someone who's just going to be a physical presence as much as anything else, who's going to stand up to teams and bully them the way that Wednesday were bullied on Saturday. And it doesn't have to be the player that played, because Carlos obviously has a way of playing, and having that physicality isn't part of that. But you would be naive if you thought that you could go an entire season in the Championship, which is a very physical division, without having someone who you can call upon to just kick someone up the arse if you really have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, the phrase we're looking for, shit kicker. It really is. And we've got it in Hutch, and we know he can do that job, but then obviously he's going to leave us short at the back. Now, Carlos has mentioned that he is happy with his centre-backs as well, hasn't he? I know we've got those injuries, but it's a bit worrying, actually.
Well, I agree with you. I again, and I don't want to come across as some sort of dinosaur where it's all about the physicality, but I think again they probably could do with someone a bit of a brute at the back. Hutch and Tom Lees are quite good on the ball. They're calm and composed, but again, like on Saturday, there were times where you just wanted someone who was going to take absolutely everything out that was going into the box and just kick it into the stand or kick someone into the stand. And I would have liked Carlos to get that. We were talking to John Newsom before the game on Saturday, and we were talking about this, and he said, we thought Turner last year was going to be that, and that is that sort of player that Wednesday want or need possibly, but just somebody better than Turner, really, if you get what I'm saying.
Chris, do you think, from what you're saying, it makes it sound like you're saying that we're still a couple of players away from having a team that can really compete week in, week out in this division?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're more than a match for most teams, but it's those games, and these things happened last year. You just come up against some teams where you need something different. You're not going to be able to pass them off the pitch, and you just need to dig in a bit. Now, to be fair, they did it to an extent against Villa. But there's an argument for Villa being caught a bit cold by the nature of the division in their first match there. It's just such a tough league, and it's very difficult to go through an entire season in a Championship just by having ball players. I think you just need to have a different option every now and again, where someone who's going to come in, if you nick a goal or you're up against it and you think, if we get away with a 0-0 here, somewhere away from home, and you need someone who's just going to come in, shut up shop, do a bit of kicking, a bit of scrapping. There are going to be games when that's needed. Quite a lot of them, actually. And there's nobody in that squad at the minute who can fulfil that role.
Now, of course, one person that can fulfil that role, Victoria, get your boots on, my darling, because this sounds absolutely spot on for you. Get in there, sort them all out.
Do you know what? They would not know what had hit them. If I went into that dressing room on Saturday after that game, oh my word.
Imagine a bit walking
Mr. Bannon would have had a Carboni situation. I'd have been like Hursty. He'd have been on a blooming coat hook in that room. I swear to God.
Imagine a bit walking into the changing room in the high heels and a big whip. That'd be hilarious. That's it.
I don't wear high heels. Have you seen me?
Oh dear.
When was the last time I wore high heels?
Oh, last night in my dreams, my darling.
Somewhere on the internet with those big somewhere.
Now, of course, try and help sort out this situation. As we heard about the rumours last week, Mr. Sasso is back. Luckily, Eddie's not here. Vic has done the drooling for this week already over Twitter, etc., etc. But do we think? I mean, don't. Bit difficult this one, I must admit. Sasso, the games he played last season, he had a couple of corking games. He really, really did. But do we need better than Sasso?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. I'm guessing here that we've had a good look round with the budget that we've got at who we can get, and concluded that there's probably no one better out there that we can get within budget than Sasso, who knows the other players. He's played with Tom Lees. I don't think he's played with Hutch at centre-half, or there might have been a game last season where they ended up finishing the game playing together. That's how it feels, that we've been trying to get other people in, and it's got to a point where we've just gone, all right, we'll just get Sasso. It feels like it's kind of making do with, he's going to be our fourth choice centre-half, isn't he? He's going to be the one that we turn to when all else has failed and gone wrong.
Now, of course, it's all been a little bit so far. So to help lighten the mood, James, I believe you've got a little bit of a getting to know you session for Chris.
Yeah. Well, if Chris is up for it, so this is kind of a quick fire thing where I give you two options. You have to pick one or the other, and it's just a way that we can, get to know you a little bit better and find out a bit more about who Chris is. So,
okay,
are you ready for this?
Yeah.
We'll start off.
It's nothing too terrible, don't we?
We start off nice and gentle. So, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Beer or lager?
Beer.
Wednesday or United?
It depends. Are you absolutely certain that there are only Wednesday fans that listen to this?
No.
For these purposes, we'll say yes.
I've got no preference.
Hurst or Waddle?
Waddle.
Hooper or Fletcher?
Fletcher.
Corrie or EastEnders?
Corrie.
All right, on to the big question. Dom Howson or Danny Hall?
Oh.
Yes! It's got to be Dom. No one likes Danny.
Is this who I would like to share a car journey with, or not like to share a car journey with?
Yeah, you could take it for that, yeah.
Also, Danny pretends that he doesn't listen, but we all know that he does.
Oh, he does? It's the first thing he listens to, Martin. I can tell. I can't answer that one.
All right, final question, and this is on behalf of one of the other podcasters who isn't with us tonight, who'd want me to ask you this. Who do you think could win a fight between a bear and a shark?
I've never thought about that. I'm going to give it a thought here.
It gets everyone every time.
I've got a better question. I've got a better question than that. Who would win a fight between Dom Howson or Danny Hall? That's a better question.
I would guarantee it would be the worst fight you ever saw.
Happily.
If I could put it in the sea, with both of them dressed as a bear.
That is the best answer.
Then possibly that may be better.
Can I also just ask on behalf of Fudge, who's also not with us tonight, who's your favourite member of Little Mix?
Perry.
Every time. It's the same one every time, isn't it?
Well, to be fair, it's the only name I could remember.
I don't know any. I fail on this question miserably because I don't know anybody from Little Mix.
I think we are gentlemen of a certain age, Richard, and I think that's probably something to be rather proud of, all being. Thank you, Black. It wasn't too terrible, that was it, Chris?
No, it's all right.
It's been a lot worse, trust me. You got quite lively there. Well done, James.
Whether you're celebrating a birthday, a wedding or anniversary, maybe you've passed your driving test, or you've landed a new job. Well, whatever your reason for a party, the Riverside Cafe is the perfect location on Catch Bar Lane overlooking Hillsborough Stadium. To inquire about hiring us for your function, call 07989 856 054 or 0114 232 6121.
Right then. So, of course, we have had other transfer news and rumours as well. First thing, Mr. Daryl Lackman, or the Schlong, as he has been known to be called, has now officially left Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. To be honest, I thought this had happened quite some time ago. Apparently, just gone out on loan. But apart from obviously Victoria's eye candy, is this going to be anything we're going to miss? Or
I think I saw both of his games for Wednesday. There was one pre-season last year, I think, away at Alfreton, and then I saw him play up at Hallam this year, and he was equally abysmal in both. So he did score against Hallam, but hey.
But did he poke your eye out? That's the question.
I think it's an enormous loss for Sheffield Wednesday.
When you say enormous, Victoria. Anyway, the other bits and bobs of that, the old sort of Ben Marshall thing has arisen again, hasn't it? Now, of course, we all know that Mr. Marshall has rejected a contract from Rovers, but let's face it, in the state they're in at the moment, who hadn't?
And also apparently turned down Fulham tonight, so I'm reading. But hey, that's just it's the same every time, and it's always a pinch of salt.
Rich, it's not happening. Forget about it. It's not happening. He's not coming. I don't think he's good enough now. I don't think he's at the level that we play. He's been played at fullback for 2 seasons because he's not good enough to play on the wing for Blackburn, and they're rubbish.
I don't think he's good enough. I think we're looking for better players than somebody like Ben Marshall. It's just
unless we sign him, in which case, welcome home, Ben. You know.
Yeah. Ben 10, yeah.
If he's having a medical right now, we're going to be in all sorts of trouble. But no, I think you're quite right. I mean, he had a belting season for us. We can't argue with that. But we've got to be looking at better, haven't we? We really, really have. I mean, obviously, Chris, in your capacity there, have you heard anything else that we might be looking at? Or because, again, Carlos did say a couple of weeks ago he's looking at bringing sort of 3 or 4 more in. Since then, we've had 2.
Yeah. As far as we're aware, I couldn't give you names because they sort of keep creeping up. But they're still looking at they need a left back still because obviously what do you call him, Bennett didn't happen, so I think they need cover there, and they're looking for another winger. But again, I just don't. I don't think they're looking in the right place. There's a possibility of another striker as well, but that would be dependent on cost, and you may have to move people on first as well. And that's it, really. Anybody who comes in now, I don't think is going to be breaking into that first team. I don't think they're going to be first choice players. Anybody who comes in now is going to strengthen the squad. So I think they'll be looking at numbers now more than actual major quality.
I've got to ask because, and this is to everyone really, because we've had the usual array of rumours going around this week. So does anyone think that there's anything realistic at all in the talk about, and there's 4 names that I've seen mentioned this week, and they are Jordan Rhodes, Patrick Bamford, Matty Vidra and Danny Ings.
Chelsea. Are we going to hear about Bamford and Rhodes every single year?
Yes.
Probably, but they're doing the rounds. We've got to talk about them, haven't we?
Rhodes has become the new Ben Marshall. In that,
absolutely right.
Yeah. Which I guess is a good thing because it shows that Wednesday have moved up a level. I think I can't remember, so whoever said earlier that he's Wednesday have outgrown Ben Marshall now. He's not. He's not needed. But now Jordan Rhodes has become the Ben Marshall who will be getting his picture taken somewhere in Meadowhall every transfer deadline day, and it's just going to happen, and it will happen until Jordan Rhodes is about 34, and eventually he does sign, and everyone will go, "I knew it would happen. I told you it would happen."
It reminds me when Steve Howard signed for Wednesday after we'd been after him for a gazillion years, And eventually we signed him when he was 34 or whatever. So yeah.
Somewhere in a small corner of Sheffield, there's a Steve Beastie that's just wet himself just by the name. It's Stevie Hard. Of course, there has been other rumours as well knocking about, and these are just sort of rumours that certain players have become available for loan to help sort of free up a little bit of.
Why don't we just move on to the next bit, please?
Yes, I know it's a bit hard. Especially for Victoria. But one of those names has been Mr. Nuhu. Of course, Big Dave has been mentioned. And Zhao also has been mentioned that has been made available for loan. Do we think this is, again, anything that's got any sort of substance to it, or is it just utter nonsense again?
I think one might have some substance and the other not.
Oh, I think they like having Addy about the place. And to send him out on loan.
Chris.
To send him out on loan would be a bit weird, because I'm sort of the opinion that, with the greatest respect to him, his new contract was based on what he brings to the squad as a unit in terms of, the camaraderie and the help that he gives everybody else, rather than what he actually does on the pitch. I can't say for certain about Zhao, but I think it might be a good move to send him out on loan, because he's not. I like him as an option to bring on, but he's not getting enough games, and I think it would do him no harm at all to go out for even half a season and be playing regularly. And if he did go out for half a season and come back in January sharp and fully fit and ready, that would be a really good option to have coming into the final stretch.
Can I ask off the back of all this? We used to have a player called Marco Matthias. I'm sure he played a few games for him. Has anyone got any idea where he is or what he's doing or anything? Because I've not even heard his name for at least a month. Is he injured?
I think he's in a bunker with Philippe Melo somewhere.
It's a bit strange, isn't he? He's kind of like a bit of a thoroughbred, isn't he? Or a nice, shiny sports car. It's great when it's working properly. It just doesn't work properly very often, does it? He just seems always to be injured.
Twice, hasn't it, so far?
But the pre-season, he was having some corking games as well, wasn't he? He looked really, really good, really, really sharp, and it could be the answer to all our problems. But, it's again, Carlos mentioned one of the, I don't want to say excuses, but to be honest, it's the best word I've got at the moment, for the Leeds game, was that the players were looking tired. It's the fourth game of the chuffing season. How on earth can these players be tired?
I thought they looked tired, to be fair. The last 15 minutes, I thought they were blowing. I really did.
That's the problem with having Nuhu as the sort of band leader, because he's quite obviously taking them all out for the evening, and it's Nuhu's fault. So yeah, let's get him shipped out on loan. Leave the poor chaps alone. Get some sleep before match day. Right then, ladies and gents. So let's crack on from our wonderful transfer debacle, shall we? Of course, the really worrying part about this whole thing is it stops this week, and there is no loan system after this, is there? So it needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, quite simply, we're stuck, aren't we?
At least it means that we could well be in for an exciting deadline day. You know, we've had a couple in the last
I hope so.
year or two, haven't we? So if it gets to Wednesday, we've not made those signings yet, then we can saddle ourselves in for an exciting evening with a bit of Garrido tweeting keeping us going.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as there isn't a Felipe Melo situation all over again, because that was devastating when I found out it was Felipe Melo da Silva.
And that was all David's fault, wasn't it? Before we move on from transfers, I was putting together a list of players that we've got that I just can't see playing any part in the team moving forward. And there's loads of them. So we've got, still on the books, we've got Dielna, we've got Bush, we've got McGugan, Vermeil, Mello, Sugu, and Halan, who I just can't see playing a part in the club moving forward. That's a lot of wages tied up, that isn't there? Sure, we need to be shifting some of these players on sharpish, surely.
Dielna seems to have put a lot of social media out there at the minute as well.
Yes, not all of it particularly sensible, though.
Correct. That's where I was going.
Yes, Mr. Dielna has been rather maybe ill-advised rather than naughty, shall we say. About 5 minutes after the Leeds game finished, he popped a little tweet out saying, I hope everybody's having a cracking weekend. What a ridiculous tweet to pop out 5 minutes after you've just lost to our Yorkshire rivals on there. Now, do we think this was a bit of a dig at the club, or was it Mr. Dielna just been a bit silly, or do you think he's just a little bit annoyed with
Have you seen the stuff he puts out there? It is absolute dross, majority of it, anyway. So
Well, to be fair, that's coming
not
from me
be-
and you, Richard. Albie.
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. But you don't get me sat in my car, pimping my ride and going along like he does, mouthing to.
I would love to see you in your Skoda pimping your ride.
Exactly, sat there, with my hat on to the side, just kind of mouthing at the camera.
I mean, it just has to be said that Mr. Diana did swiftly remove the tweet after he put it. So I don't know if he was told to, or if he realised his mistake, or what went off there. But as James quite rightly said, these players are sort of just about the place. Obviously, Halan's been on here, there, and everywhere, hasn't he? But when he comes on, he doesn't seem to care, does he?
He was really, really poor, particularly towards the end of the game at Cambridge when he played. I was in extra time. He just, he was the opposite of what you wanted a player to be. He looked like he'd given up and he just wasn't interested. And that's when you're scrapping out a result against a difficult team who have got the noses in front. It was the opposite of what we needed. And I did think then that this has got to be the end now for Hilan. 1-0 in the coffin was when he missed that chance at the end of the playoff final, wasn't it? And the other is when, quite the opposite of that, when he's just not trying in games that we're playing a team that we should be able to beat.
I don't get that. I don't get that opinion or what a player's doing there. He's been given an opportunity here. He knows he's not going to be playing very often. He's got a chance to show that he's got something about him, and he's just decided he wasn't going to be bothered. He could have gone there and given people who may have forgotten he was even there the opportunity to show what he can do, and he hasn't taken that. But I guess some players are like that. And maybe he thinks he can just go anywhere, or maybe there's somebody already having a look, and it doesn't matter how well he plays.
While we're still talking about players around the club that might be going, is there any value in us looking at players like George Hurst, Conor O'Grady, Jack Stobbs, maybe sending them out on loan to get some experience? Because I think it's obvious they're not going to get particularly close to the first team this season, and certainly now we're out of the League Cup where they might have got some chance. There's got to be some value in getting Hursty and particularly O'Grady playing some football somewhere.
Yeah, I think even for the academy system and the under-21s, the development system, it can only take you so far before you're playing against kids your own age, and you're not really testing yourself. You're playing at that level. Most players are quite good. You know what I mean. You're not playing. It's almost a mirror image every single week. So it wouldn't do any harm for a few of them to maybe go down and play League Two for a while. Toughen them up a wee bit. I know I sound like I'm coming from the 1970s here, where I want everybody to be kicking and being knocked around.
Are you a rugby man, Chris?
No, I'm really not. No, but I don't see any harm in that. Yeah, I think it would do George particularly the world of good, because he's quite slight, and it would maybe do him no harm to go down and be knocked around by big burly centre halves, or maybe get his dad to just kick him around the back garden.
Right, so let's put all this transfer and team nonsense behind us, because of course we've got the international break coming up, and we've had some chaps and obviously called up for their country again, haven't we, James?
Yeah, so I think there's still some squads to be announced. Fingers crossed that Kieran Westwood will get into the Ireland squad. But Barry Bannon and Stephen Fletcher called up by Scotland, which is great. We've just been talking about him as well. George Hurst called up for the England. Is it under 21s? Under
18s.
Under 18s. Good news all around there.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've run out of superlatives for Mr. Hurst, haven't we? And whilst everybody's doing things like that, it's only going to bring him on. Again, he's got to give the chaps a bit of a hi-ho, isn't it, when they get to just that recognition from the country as well, which hopefully, as James said earlier, a bit of an international break, a bit of a joy up with their countrymen, and come back swinging as well. Now, ladies and gents, unfortunately, Mr. Fudge isn't here to announce his rather exciting news. We need somebody excitable.
Woo!
There she is,
Oh.
Victoria.
Oh my God. I am so excited about this. So we're a little bit big time now, and we're just splashing the cash. It's just like
let's not call ourselves big time.
Really big time. Yeah.
Yeah. But Fudge actually went to go and see Eastleigh FC play this week, which, of course, we know is home to friend of the podcast, Lee Peacock, and other friend of the podcast, Reader Johnson. So Fudge ended up getting a little bit drunk with a listener, and we now officially sponsor Reader Johnson as a player. So well done, Fudge. Let's not get him drunk at Hillsborough because I think it's quite a bit more expensive.
Yeah, budget, just slightly.
Yeah, just slightly over budget. But yeah, we are the official sponsor of Reader Johnson, and that is awesome. That's so exciting. So if anyone is down Fudge's way, so you saw Southampton and Eastleigh way, go and watch a game and go and meet our official player, Reader Johnson.
I believe the London Owls have already sorting out, I think, for New Year's Day to go watch Eastleigh. And taking.
Is it Boreham Wood or something they're playing, aren't they?
I think you might be right. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. So Essex Owls as well, get involved. Let's all go and cheer on Reader. I think we're going to make a special podcast trip at some point, so it should be good.
Just while we're on the subject of kind of non-league football, can I jump ahead a little bit to something that I was saving for one of my little bits, but it fits quite well with this. And that is something that I saw in the papers today. Does anyone remember Mabadi Sidibe, who played for us?
Yes.
3-4 weeks ago. He signed for 3-4 years ago. He signed for a Sunday League team. Robin Hood Rookery is the team that he signed for. Do you want to know how much he's getting paid per week to play for them?
Oh God, please, yes.
Minus £4. He has to pay them £4 a week for his subs in order to play. And there's a line. It was in the Mirror today, and there's a line in it that's brilliant. It says Sidibe turned out for Robin Hood Rookery this weekend and inspired his side to a 2-2 draw at Travellers Rest Milton. He inspired them to a 2-2 draw. What a guy!
Do you know what, Do you know what? We mock footballers and we moaned about Fessy begging for more money and everything else, but the guy obviously loves the game and he still wants to play. So, it's similar to like Johan Follies. He ended up doing a similar thing and ended up going into coaching while he was at university full time. And I think fair play to them if that's what they're going to do. But even I could be inspired to beat the Travellers Rest.
Let's hope he don't get booked as well, because he'll be paying out even more money.
Yeah, it's £7 a yeller, isn't it?
Something like that.
But no, it's brilliant news that Fudge can get drunk and make wonderful decisions on the podcast. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Of course, we've had Reader on the podcast before as well. A pleasure. I'm just a little bit worried that Mr. Peacock, obviously Reader, and quite possibly Eastleigh are going to think that the Wednesday week is stalking them, because it's getting a bit weird this now, isn't it?
Well, Fudge kind of is, though, isn't he? So I would like to offer Lee Peacock now, because we know that he does tune in. We would like to sponsor your ball bag, so Fudge can carry it as long as it can have. If it can have a Wednesday week logo on, it can be our official sponsored ball bag, because we all know how much Fudge likes to carry it, or indeed a coat.
His jacket, yeah.
Right, so of course, the next game coming up at Brentford. Now, it has to be said, Brentford aren't going great guns at the moment. They've got their problems with their team as well, haven't they? So ideally, this is the right game for us to sort of get back on track and get this all taken care of. But, I mean, is anybody else still a little bit worried about Brentford? Or do we think that their problems are basically going to outweigh our problems?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's two teams that have made fairly average starts to the season. They lost. Was it at Rotherham that they lost on Saturday? It was at Rotherham that they lost, which they'll be disappointed with. Obviously, we lost at Burton. We lost against Leeds. We've been disappointed with those results. It's kind of a little bit like when we played them last season, because we'd not quite hit our form this time last season. They'd been in quite poor form as well. In fact, they sacked their manager at the time, who had a ridiculous name that I can't say, off the back of losing against us in that game. So although it's a bit earlier in the season, it's got a similar sort of feel to it, which is, neither of us are going into it as the form team. They've got home advantage. They've actually got a reasonably decent squad. They've got players that can score goals. I'm sure they'd say exactly the same about us, to be fair. So it's one of those that we, I think we've got to go there believing that we can win. We've got to go there with the intention of bringing back 3 points. I think it's all about tactics and it's all about team selection. And I think it's when Carlos has really got to, step up to the plate and show us that he really does know his players. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to put right the things that weren't right in the last couple of games. And there's difficult decisions there, isn't there? Do we have to drop Kieran Lee? Do we have to drop Wallace? Do we do something crazy and put Kieran Lee at right back? I don't know. That's for Carlos to decide. But yeah, I really hope he gets it right, because if we don't get a result from Brentford and it's 3 defeats from 3, I can't remember the last time that we lost 3 games in a row. It's going back a fair few years, isn't it? And it becomes a really different kind of feel about the place.
I think if you at the beginning of the season, if you looked on paper at the games, probably Brentford's one where you'd think you'd be happy with a draw. But I think we need to actually go there and win now, and get back on track. Even if it's a dirty win, if it's a 1-0 off the back end of a dog, or whatever, we need to go and get those 3 points and come back with them.
Speaking entirely personally, I will be very, very happy if I get home from Brentford having not fallen backwards into the car park of the car dealership.
I was going to say, speaking from my personal thing, I'd be very happy if you just got back, to be honest.
And if I can try not leaving David Garrido a 5-minute voicemail of me just making general moaning sounds while falling over in the road.
Oh my God.
Also, because it was the scene. It was the scene of total carnage last year. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can keep slightly better self-control this time around.
James, was Brentford Biscuitgate?
It was Biscuitgate, yeah. I should really take a packet of hobnobs with me as like an apology, like a peace offering, shouldn't I, to try and make up for it?
Yeah,
I'm going to do that.
Chocolate ones.
Chocolate ones. You can't do chocolate ones on a hot day though. If it's hot, they'll melt.
Yeah, the weather forecast is good.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go normal.
Have you seen what I'm up against?
I'll take a cooler bag.
Yeah. Have you seen what I'm up against? It's like herding cats. It really is.
It's an amazing insight.
I assume that all Don Howson talked about all day whilst in the Sheffield Star office is hobnobs.
No, fingerless gloves.
Now, this is a genuine insight into the Sheffield Star office, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm not terribly surprised.
Chris, while we're on the subject of Dom Howson, I don't know if you've seen, but we have a lookalike on our podcast panel, and one of our podcasters often gets asked if he is indeed Dom Howson.
No.
Don't you, James?
No, that's not strictly true. Okay, at the class of '91 reunion, when obviously Dom was there, and I was also there doing some interviews for the podcast, and someone asked if I would take a photo for them with, I think it was Roland Nielsen. And then they turned around and went, "Oh, go on, Dom. While you're here, I'll have one with you." And I didn't have the heart to set them right, so I just had the photo taken. Someone else overheard and went, "Oh, Dom, can I have one as well?" I went, "Yeah, all right." And it's just kind of gone from there.
I am more embarrassed that there are people who want to have their picture taken with Dom.
Somebody out must have these pictures. We need them. Tweet them into us at TW.
Yes, please. I'd love to see those. Here's a question. Where would you find all of the following in one place? Chairs, tables, beer, Vic, James, more beer, Dick Yow, Eddie, more beer, and the rest of the Wednesday week gang. That's right, it's the Riverside Cafe's new outside bar. All of your favourite lagers, ciders, soft drinks and hand pump ales are now available outside. Come and see the gang and give it a try. The Riverside Cafe's new outside bar, now open on match days.
Right then, ladies and gents. So at last little bit for this evening. Does anybody have any little bits?
I do. I have 2 little bits for you this evening, my lord. So the first one, I went to Hillsborough today. I do quite a lot of stuff there at the moment because they've got the NCS kids in. They do a lot of stuff with our charity. So I went in to go and see them, and I noticed 2 rather, medium-sized, if you're comparing them to other ones around the city, elephants outside the ground. There are 2 gold elephants outside the South Stand. They're not children's hospital ones. They are, in fact, just gold elephants. So presumably that's a Thai good luck thing or some sort of God welcoming thing. I don't know. I need to have a Google because I find that stuff fascinating. But yeah, there are. So our look may well change from now on because we've got the elephants.
Do you think we'll get renamed the Elephants instead of the Owls? Can we see that happen?
Oh, it could be like a Cardiff situation, couldn't it?
I'd quite like
If
that.
we carry on playing the way we're doing it at the moment, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
I like a good elephant. I think they're quite cute.
What rhymes with elephant? We need to come up with some
I like a
chants
good
that include elephant.
I like elephants. Elephants are cute things, aren't they? And there's the link, obviously. Sheffield had an elephant in the war, and I think Mr. Chansiri is just getting embedded in the Yorkshire culture.
Nobody has ever said, I like a good elephant. That's not a sentence that is normally said out in.
I like a good elephant.
I like a good elephant, me.
I like elephant, me.
I shall believe that Mr. Chansiri is bringing into the Yorkshire culture when I see him wearing a flat cap walking out of Hillsborough with his whippet.
Or his elephant. Who knows?
Or his really good elephant, absolutely. But no, I think you're right, Victoria. I think they are a symbol of good luck in the Thai culture. And you never know, we might have a replacement for Aussie with a great big elephant walking around the pitch. That would be.
I really like it. I
staying-
think it's nice.
Staying with this theme, if I find that when I go to Hillsborough, my pie is being replaced by curry, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to go absolutely nuts.
You're going to smash that up, Chris.
What's wrong with the Thai green curry? They're lovely.
I imagine that in August.
Oh, yeah.
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
But like those prawn crackers, Thai spice prawn crackers are really nice, aren't they? I wouldn't mind a few of those instead of a packet of Walkers.
I've never had endos with a Thai green curry, though. That might be worth trying.
Yeah.
Stick the Thai green curry.
Or pad Thai.
Pad Thai, yeah.
Stick it in a pie and everybody will be happy. Absolutely. Victoria, you mentioned you got another little bit, my darling.
I have, my lord. I just wanted to give a little update on my two boys. So Carlos and Tom Lees, the goldfish, are sat with me now, and they are having a lovely time. They're the best of friends, and they were a bit unsure about each other at first because they did come from separate tanks. But I can confirm that Tom Lees is the daddy. He's the boss. He's gold with a little blonde quiff, and Carlos is kind of like patchy, but he's got like a patch of black hair, which is quite cute. And they are loving life in front of their big picture of Hillsborough Stadium behind their tank, and they've got a little floating football, and they are currently the best of pals. So I think that's a good omen for this season. Sod your elephants, I've got my fish.
I'm just going to take your word for that, Victoria. I'm a little bit flabbergasted about how well the fish are doing.
I will tweet a photo, my lord, don't you worry. In fact, I could live video it like I did from the Riverside on Saturday, where I did a 40-minute... I did a 40-minute live Facebook video of rain dripping into an empty pipe pot. And do you know what's really sad? 680 people have stood out have sat and watched that. Like, get a life. But the worst thing was, there were people in the pub tuning into it. And I was like, you can see the glass. It's right here. But apparently it looked better in HD.
Right, does anybody else have any little bits for this evening?
I've got a couple of things. First of all, since we seem to have started doing Tweet of the Week again, I thought I'd keep it going. And we have a runner-up Tweet of the Week, which comes from Kevin Pressman, who superbly trolled Sheffield United fans after Millwall beat them. I can't remember exactly what he put, but it was a brilliant tweet. So, silver star for Kevin Pressman. The gold star.
We're having a Tweet of the Week for somebody for a tweet that we don't know what it is.
Yeah, you don't know what it
Yeah, you can't. Well,
listen, I know we're sponsoring people now, Jay, but we still have to sort of keep a certain standard on that.
But that was only runner-up in Tweet of the Week. That's not the Tweet of the Week.
I've got his tweet here. He said, "So it's happened again today. Sheffield United come to the Den and come home with no points. Wow, wow."
Good man.
go.
Good old Kevin.
Good man.
And the actual tweet of the week, Jay?
The Tweet of the Week comes from, it's at pre-match meal. Which has no relation at all to what the tweet is, but this is, again, it's nothing to do with Sheffield Wednesday, it just made me laugh. So this is a West Ham United season ticket holder who arrived for their first game of the season at the new stadium to find that their row of seats doesn't actually have any seats yet. They forgot to put them in, so they had to sit on the concrete slab to watch the game, and tweeted a brilliant photo of it.
He sent it to Karen Brady, didn't he? He was like, what is this? What is this? Like, she's going to go, oh, soz. Yeah, I forgot about that. Like, you can't just complain to Karen Brady.
There we go. I've also this week a new feature that we're starting, probably for 1 week only because we'll forget, and that is Quote of the Week. And more specifically, Carlos Quote of the Week. We do this quite a lot on Twitter, and I feel it's time we actually brought it into audio form and transferred it onto the podcast. So this week, without doubt, quote of the week is Glenn Loovens is not dead, which is one of the best Carlos quotes that I've ever heard, which is actually slightly out of context.
It sounds like
I think
a Half Man, Half Biscuit album.
I think his actual quote was something like, Glenn Loovens is injured, he's not dead. Either way, it's a brilliant quote. And then the only other thing that I've got to mention, and I've not really planned this because I only heard it about half an hour before we came on, but I make an appearance on the Owls Talk podcast this season, who've done a remix of our little sponsor message at the start of the Wednesday Week podcast. They've done a remix of it for their supposed sponsor, The Sausage Cottage. And it includes my voice. So keep your eyes on Twitter. There may well be a lawsuit following quite soon because we did not get permission for this.
Are you doing a Fernando Fristieri here and just flirting around with other podcasts, James?
Yeah,
Is that
they've
what's
offered me
happening?
more.
Are you going to refuse
money.
to record next week?
They've offered me more money. Well, I say more money. They've offered me money. Yeah.
The Sausage Cottage isn't there anymore. It's gone. It went 8 years ago.
I know.
But-
Well, it's still there, isn't it? It just never opened.
Is it not there? I'm sure it's
still there. I'm sure it's
No,
still. Last time I never really walked down that way anymore, but I'm sure last
don't
time that I
think it's
did,
there
the van's still there. It just never actually opens.
I shall
I
drive
think
past
there's
in
been-
the morning and I shall tweet whether it is or it isn't.
Do.
No, there's been some confusion here, chaps. The Sausage Cottage is the Owls Talk podcast chaps' new favourite nightclub.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, that fell on its ass.
It's not the
didn't it?
Sausage Cottage that
No, you laugh. I'm going on Friday. I'll send you a review.
Right then, ladies and gents, that's going to bring us to an end of the podcast for this evening. Victoria, my darling, if people want to get hold of you and your boys over there on Twitter, where can we do that?
Oh my God, I should totally set them up their own Twitter, shouldn't I?
No.
If only I knew a social media expert. My Twitter is @Victoria1867, where you can see photos of my dog and Carlos and Tom Lee's the goldfish.
Have you ever had an interest in
And-
cats, Victoria?
Well, I've got a guinea pig called Mandarich as well. I had Milan and Mandarich. Milan sadly passed away, but Mandarich is still going strong. But she's on holiday at the moment at my mum and dad's because they have grass. So every summer she goes up there for a little play on the grass. So Mandarich will be back come October.
Have you got,
Do you know
have
when
you
you're
got a guinea
growing up?
pig? You've not really mentioned that before.
Oh, shut your face. I've also got a James. He's a bit of a pain in the backside, so I don't tend to mention him or feed him.
It doesn't bite you as much as the guinea pig, though, does it?
Do you know when you're growing up and there's that scary old lady at the end of the street? This is what she was like when she was young.
I could totally be that person.
Richie Olbean, if people want to get over you over there on the social medias, where can we do that?
You can find me at Dickie Owl on Twitter, and I will this week be tweeting pictures of our cat, and it's called McVitie's. And from the pictures I put out there, you'll realise why it's called McVitie's.
I wish he was called like Bez Weatherick.
James, old boy, if people want to find more about you over there on the internet and look at your Elvis juice, where can we do that?
Well, first things first. Rich, could I take, if your cat's called McVitie's, could I take it to Brentford and tell David Garrido, look, I brought you some McVitie's, and just give him a cat? Because that would be brilliant.
On his ginger nuts, then that's not a problem at all.
Lovely. So if you want to get me on Twitter, I am at James Marriott. Important business though. Anyone going to Brentford on Saturday? Two things that I need to tell you. One is normally, of course, to go to Brentford you catch the train because the train station's right next to the ground. There are no trains running to Brentford this Saturday. It's a bus replacement service, so get the tube instead. And if you need any advice on what tube to get, drop me a line on Twitter and I'll fill you in. The other thing is if you're not sure about what pub to go to, me and my little group, we're going to be heading to the Globe, which is not one of the pubs on the four sides of the ground or three sides of the ground because one of them's shut down now. It's just a little bit round the corner, but it's where we're going to meet up with some of our Brentford mates. And last I heard, they were doing their absolute damnedest to get us an actual Sheffield ale on tap in the pub. Hopefully, possibly, the blueberry ale that they have in the Riverside Cafe is what they were trying to get hold of. So I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but they're having a damn good go. So that's where we'll be from about 10:30 on Saturday. Again, drop me a line on Twitter if you want to come and say hi.
And shall you be seeing the chaps from the Be Sotted podcast down there as
Yeah,
well, Jim?
absolutely. That's their meeting point. That's where, in fact, that's their recording point. That's where they do their podcast as well. So Billy, who's become a bit of a legend on this podcast a little bit as well, he will be there. So even if you're not remotely interested in meeting me for a pint, I am quite boring. Come and meet Billy because he'll be a laugh. And you never know, Garrido might turn up as well. Who knows?
Oh, that's a reason not to go. Chris, of course, I'm sure there's nobody listening to this that's not already following you on Twitter and the work you do. But if people do want to find you over there on the social medias, where can we do that, Holbein?
You can find me at Holt Chris, where you will find me screaming with delight when obscure 90s bands are played on Six Music. And that's mostly what my Twitter is about.
Oh dear. Of course, if you'd like to find me over there on the Twitch, I shall not be sending out pictures of my little dog Atherton, because, to be honest, it's a bit weird when people tweet pictures of their pets, isn't it, Victoria?
Oh, is it called Atherton? Oh, that's just new level of respect there, my lord. How lucky are you?
He's square. You can do that at Lord H. That's L0RD_H. Of course, if you want to keep hold of the podcast over there too, you can do that at TWWcast. You can find us on Facebook, find us on YouTube. Again, I apologise, ladies and gents. We are still having iTunes issues. We are trying to sort this out, but iTunes are, to be honest, a bit of a pain in the bum to deal with. But while we are sorting out those issues, again, you can use the Podbean app, which is free of charge for any iOS user, and of course available on all Android devices as well. And you can get us on there too. And of course, we're on the YouTubes as well. Of course, next week is transfer deadline day on the Wednesday evening. Now, we do try to have the podcast up by Thursday, but I need my beauty sleep, ladies and gents. I'm a gentleman of a certain age. So the podcast might just be a little bit late next week. We've not got a match on the Saturday. So if it is a little bit late, don't worry. We've not forgotten about our beautiful, beautiful listeners. It's just that we want to get the information in there from transfer deadline day this way, because hopefully it's going to be really, really exciting.
If it's not, it's going to be shit, isn't it?
We don't sign anyone. All that happens is Claude Dielna goes out on loan to Eastleigh.
Well, that's
Sponsors him.
So yes, if we are a little bit late next week, ladies and gents, we are on our way. It's been a pleasure, as always, ladies and gents. Thank you ever so much for joining us this evening. Be good, be safe.
We will see you real soon.
There's a chance here, a great save by Turner from McClair. Mike Towns, a terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brentman against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Is everybody out of bits?
It's out of bits.
Fantastic. Right.
I
Let's
think-
wrap it up.
I laid all my bits on the pitch. I left them all on the pitch. That's it.
Thank you again for Victoria for providing this week's outtakes. You're an I mean, is anybody else still a little bit worried about Brentford? Or do we think that their problems are basically going to outweigh our problems?
It's
Does
going to
anybody
be.
care about Brentford?
Yeah. Sorry, I was taking a sip of my Elvis juice then. Sorry.
What is wrong with you tonight?
Oh, me? I'm
Yeah,
fine,
what are
I'm
you
fine.
drinking now? What's your Elvis juice?
It's grapefruit infused IPA. It's very nice. I would highly recommend it. It's a brew dog, but it's very nice. Sorry, are we still recording? What are we talking about?